Hello everyone. I'm going to go over your conic review for your quiz tomorrow, so let's get to it. Alrighty, so the directions say answer the questions for the given ellipse below and graph. So, going to have out my formula sheet so we can answer this. So I know that it's an ellipse because the directions say that, okay? Uh-oh, this pen looks like it might die. Sorry. Okay. So in order to write this in standard form so I can graph it and graph like the center, the vertices, the foci, and all that good stuff, I am going to put all the x terms together and all the y terms together. And I'm going to move that negative 31 over to the other side and put that constant over there, okay? Now I'm going to complete the square. And when I do that, remember you have to have a coefficient of 1 on the squared term, so I'm going to factor out a 4 on the x values. And the y terms, I don't have to factor anything out because that has a coefficient of 1. Okay, so 2 divided by 2 is 1, 1 squared is 1. So whatever I add to one side, I must add to the other side. But because I had to factor out 4, I have to do 4 times the 1 value, okay? Over here, negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. Square that, we get positive 1. So I'm just adding 1 over here because I did not factor anything out. Alrighty, so this gives me 4 times x plus 1 squared. We've gone over this type of factoring multiple times now, so we should be good with it at this point. Y minus 1 squared equals, let's see, that'll be 4 plus 1 is 5, plus 31 is 36, okay? And I'm not quite in the standard form yet for the ellipse, so now I'm going to divide everything by 36. So I get x plus 1 squared over 4 by 36 reduces to 1/9, plus y minus 1 squared over 36 equals 1. So this is my standard form, which means that my center will be at negative 1, 1. That's my h and my k value. Negative 1, 1. Okay? All right, next we are going to, well, I want to figure out which direction this ellipse goes. I want to know if the major axis is horizontal or if it's vertical. So looking at this, we have, now for the ellipse, remember, the a squared term is bigger than the b squared term. So the 36 is the a squared term, and the 9 is the b squared term. So that means a is plus or minus 6, and b is plus or minus 3 when I take the square root of both of those. So this means that the major axis will be vertical. So my ellipse will look like that, because looking at your formula sheet, the a squared term is second in the standard form. Okay, so that will help me find my vertices. So I'm going to count up 6 and down 6 from my center. Okay, so those are my vertices. So that occurs at negative 1, 7, and at negative 1, negative 5. Those are where my vertices are. And then my foci, those are the c value, right? So when we get that from the formula, c squared equals a squared minus b squared, okay? So that will be, let's see, we don't know what c squared is. A squared was 36, b squared is 9, so that gives us 27. And then when we take the square root of both sides, we get plus or minus, let's see, square root of 27, 9 times 3, so 3 square root of 3. Okay, and because my ellipse, the major axis, is vertical, remember that the foci are on that same axis. So from the center, I'm going to go up 3 square root of 3 and down square root of 3 over 3. And that's on the y values, right? So my x value stays the same, And from the center, I can do 1 plus or minus 3 radical 3 to list the coordinate points. Okay, so let me real quick figure out what, whoops, 3 square root of 3, that's about 1 plus that is 6.2 about. So like right here would be a foci, and 1 minus 3 radical 3 is negative 4.2-ish. So that would be my other foci. And then remember the b value goes here. So because b is plus or minus 3 from the center, I'm going to go to the right 3 and left 3. Whoops. 1, 2, 3. Okay, yeah, I counted that right. All right, and then make your ellipse. Remember, they connect to the vertices. All right, and there we go. That's it. That's all we had to answer there. Okay? Alrighty, next problem. Answer the questions for the given hyperbola below in graph. So I'm telling you it's a hyperbola, all right? And I will do the same thing on your test. So let's see here. I got my hyperbola, and we need to complete the square in order to write this in standard form. But notice we don't have an x or a y term. We just have the squared term. So those b values are 0. So there's really nothing to complete the square with there. All I'm going to do first, whoops, is move the constant over. And then you guys can see on your formula sheet that they have to be set, the equations set equal to 1. So I'm going to divide everything by 9. And I get negative x squared, and that would just be over 1, plus y squared over 9 equals 1. And notice that the x squared term is the negative term, so I'm actually going to rewrite this. Whoops. I'm going to write this as y squared over 9 minus x squared over 1 equals 1. So this is my standard form of my hyperbola. The reason why I did that is because on your formula sheet it has minus in between the two. So you don't have to write this one right here. I like to, just so then I remember to take the square root of it. So anyways, our center is the HK. H is 0, K is 0. Remember, H always goes with X. K is always with Y. So that's at 0, 0. That's our center. Alrighty, our vertices are going to be the A value. So let's first determine which direction this hyperbola will open. Because the y squared term comes first, it's going to look like this. You guys can see that on your formula sheet. It's y squared minus x squared. So with that said, A is always first in a hyperbola, and B is always second. So A is plus or minus 3. B is plus or minus 1 when I take the square root of those. So my vertices, I'm going to move up 3 and down 3 from the center for my vertices. Okay? And then the B term, I'm going to move to the left one and to the right one from my center. And that will help me draw the box of my hyperbola, which will then help me draw the asymptotes, right? Okay. Oops. Not doing a very good job with those lines. There we go. Sorry, guys. Alright. So, let's see. Oh, that helps us draw this part, right? Okay. And then, so our vertices, those were at 0, 3, and 0, negative 3. And then the foci are going to be at the C value. So I got to find what C is, right? So this equation for a hyperbola is C squared equals A squared plus B squared. So C squared is going to equal A squared was 9, B was 1, so that's 10. So C is plus or minus, and you cannot simplify the square root of 10, so it's just going to stay like that. And the foci, remember, are going to be right above and below the vertex here. So that's going to be your y values. So this will be at 0. And if you want to write 0 plus or minus the square root of 10, that's fine. Or you could just write 0 comma plus or minus the square root of 10. So the square root of 10 is 3.2-ish. So about here and here. Okay? And then the asymptotes. Now remember, because our hyperbola is up and down, we're going to use the formula y minus k equals plus or minus a over b times x minus h. H always goes with x, k always goes with y. Well, h and k are both 0, so I don't have to worry about plugging in those values there. So I'm just going to get y equals plus or minus a was 3, b was 1, so 3 over 1 is just 3, and then x. I can write this over here if you want to see where those came from. So that simplifies down to this. But if your center moves, if it's not at the origin, then you need to make sure that you put the h and the k value in there. Okay? Alrighty. Number 3. Write the given parabola in standard form. So again, I'm telling you what this is. Alright, so the parabola looks like our x squared, or we have an x squared term, so this parabola will either open up or down based off the formula sheet, right? So we've got, I want to put all my x terms on one side and all my y terms on the other. So I've got x squared plus 6x equals negative y minus 16. Yes. Right, move that over there. Yep, okay, sorry. All right, so I gotta complete the square here. So x squared plus 6x equal, plus something, right? We're completing the square, sorry. So that will be 6 divided by 2 is 3, 3 squared is 9, equals negative y minus 16 plus 9, because what I add to one side, I have to add to the other. Don't have to worry about multiplying that by anything, because I did not have to take out GCF there to factor this. So this is x plus 3 squared equals, let's see, negative y. Oh my goodness, why am I blanking? Negative 7, sorry. Okay, and looking at your formula sheet, these are always positive, so I'm going to divide by a negative 1. We're looking at this one, sorry, because we have an x squared term. So I'm going to divide this side by negative 1 right here. So I'm going to get negative x plus 3 squared equals y plus 7. And that's your parabola in standard form. Okay, this will tell you, that helps you like with the d value, and that will tell you that the parabola will open down because your d will be negative. The d value is negative. Okay, we know it's down because our only options are up or down, and because it's negative, it's going to open down. Alrighty, on to the back side. Number 4. So we are going to state which direction the parabola opens. So again, we know we're dealing with the parabola still. Then we're going to identify the vertex, the focus, and the directrix. The grid provided is there for help. It will not be graded. Okay, so looking at this function, it looks like we're in this form, right? More like this graph. We've got x, and then our y squared term. So the vertex is hk. There's no h value, right? There's nothing there. K is 3, so 0, 3. And then our focus, I need to find out what that d value is because it's going to be that distance, right? So we've got negative 1/8 equals 1 over 4d. So if you don't see it right away what the d value is, remember you can cross multiply. So negative 4d equals 8. So d equals divide both sides by negative 4 is negative 2. Okay? If you need to do that, do it. If you don't need to, if you knew it was negative 2 right away, good for you. Okay, so I'm going to move to, first I need to determine which direction this opens. So because d is negative, this is going to open to the left. Right? So that means that my focus if this is the vertex, 1, 2, that would be my focus, right? And then if I go to the right 2, this would be my directrix. Okay, because the parabola is opening to the left, because D was negative. Okay, and then remember whatever that value is, if you forget about the negative. The negative just tells you the direction, right? But then the value of it tells you how many units to the left and to the right, or up and down, depending on which direction the parabola is. You need to go. The focus is always inside of the vertex. Okay, so my focus is at -2, 3, right? -2, 3. And then my directrix is at x equals 2, because it goes through that line. Cool? Alrighty. We are not going to ask you to plot extra points outside of there. It will say in the directions if it wants you to, outside of the focus, okay? But you can just do a quick sketch. Well, actually, it was not even graded, so it didn't even matter. Alrighty, number 5, identifying the conic. So this was the very last lesson we did, guys. So you want to look at the x squared and the y squared terms, all right? Because these are both have a coefficient of 1 and they're both positive, this is a circle. Okay, letter B. If I have everything on one side of the equation, or of the equal sign, so say I move that this x squared term over to the other side, that will become negative, right? So my x squared term and my y squared term are not the same coefficients, right? And they have different signs. This is positive, and this would be negative when I move it over. So this would be a hyperbola. The way I kind of remember that is it has the minus sign. One of them is minus, versus an ellipse. Are both plus, both positive. Okay. All right, letter C. I've got a y squared term. I don't have an x squared term. So because I only have one squared term, this is going to be a parabola. Again, look at your formula sheet. You can kind of tell from that. And then letter D, I have both my x squared and my y squared term have different coefficients, but they're both positive. So this is an ellipse. Okay. Alrighty. Number 6. Write the standard form equation of a circle with the center at -6, -2, and tangent to the x-axis. So I'm going to sketch this really quickly. So at -6, -2, be here. This is the center, and it's tangent to the x-axis. So tangent to this guy. So my circle, I have x. Whoops, don't know what that was. X minus h, this is k, so this would become +6, plus y minus k, k is -2, so that becomes +2, and these are squared, equals, all I'm missing is r, okay, your radius. Well, if it is tangent to the x-axis, that means it's going to touch it like that, right? So this distance from the center to the edge of the circle would be 2 units, so r is 2, but in the formula, this is r squared. So if r is 2, 2 squared equals 4. Okay? So there you go. All right. Again, we're dealing with a circle. So write the equation of a circle in standard form, having the center 9, 11, and passing through the point 2, 8. So you have a center at 9, 11, and then it will pass through a point 2, 8. Now, technically, you don't have to draw a picture here, guys, okay? Work smarter, not harder. Your center is HK. If it passes through the point 2, 8, that's an x and a y value on a grid, right? If you guys look here, you have x, h, y, and k, so really all you have to find is r. And you can do that by plugging this into that formula. So we have x minus h was 9. Oh, whoops. X was, we were actually given that 2. I'm being silly. So 2 minus 9 plus, let's see, y, which is 8, minus k was 11, squared equals r squared. We don't know what that is, but we can find it because we can simplify this left-hand side. So 2 minus 9 is negative 7, plus 8 minus 11 is negative 3. So negative 7 squared is 49, plus negative 3 squared is 9, equals r squared. All right, 49 plus 9, 58. Yeah. Sorry about that. Okay, and I don't even need to simplify that. Like, I don't need to find what the square root. I don't need to take the square root of both sides because r squared is what goes here. Again, work smarter, not harder. So we've got x minus 9 squared, because that's the h value, plus y minus k, which is 11 squared, equals what? Okay, yeah, no, I did that right. Okay, sorry. 58. Sorry, I thought I put a plus sign somewhere. Okay, and that's it. All right, number 8. Find an equation of each ellipse. So now I'm giving you the graph, and you got to come up with the equation. So let me get my formula sheet over here for the ellipse. All right, so let's see here. I've got, okay, it definitely looks like this guy over here, right? Here's my center. It's at 0, 0. I'm going to go ahead and like set this up. 0 plus y minus 0, that's my k value. Okay, this has to be my a squared, this has to be my b squared, equals 1, based off of the formula right here, because I know it's this guy. So my a value is this distance, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And my b value is 1, 2, 3. But I have to square these, right? So a squared would be 4 squared, which is 16. B, 3, so 3 squared is 9. You can leave it like that, but if you want to simplify it, it would be x squared over 16 plus y squared over 9 equals 1. Whoa, that's not very helpful to see that one. Okay? All right, letter B. Oh, it looks just like that guy. However, so I know I'm going to have x minus some, whoops, trying to leave some space. Remember how we kind of filled in the blanks in class? Okay. So my center, oh, we know this is going to be the a squared, this is going to be the b squared term just based off of our picture in our formula sheet. So it looks like the center is like maybe here. But let's check to make sure we're equal up and down and left and right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Yeah, there's my center. So that h value is 2, and that k value is 0. And then a squared, I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. So a is 5. When I square that, I get 25. And let's see, b is 1, 2, 3. And that would be 9. 3 squared is 9. So that's your formula. If you want, you could write this as x minus 2 squared over 25 plus y squared, because that will reduce, right? 9 equals 1. Alrighty, guys. Sorry if that took a while, but we're done. All right. Study up. Come into E&I with any questions, and good luck on your test tomorrow. See ya. Oh, there's the one. Sorry.